Hey everyone, welcome back to the Your Money Your Life podcast, episode 217 of the podcast. Make sure wherever you're listening, you like, subscribe, 5-star rate, and review the pod. We do this every week. We have a lot to get into this week. It wasn't a crazy week as far as news, but let's dive into some of the more important things. But first, let's talk about the market. And actually, let's pull up our chart showing what we had for the week um, as far as the market goes. 5 days, about flat. But again, the start to the year has been actually pretty strong. This might be, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, one of the strongest first quarters or one of the strongest quarters for the market since 2019. So year to date, over 10%, which is a really strong start, a really strong 3 months to the year. And I think it's a few things. Exuberance is back. We had 2022, which is a bear market. We had 2023, which is strong. And usually after a rebound year, the market is again higher usually after rebound, right? It's not where you see that the after a rebound year, which was 2023, that the market's down again. You usually see another strong year, not the same lengths as I've always said. We usually don't see it be the same lengths as a prior year. But again, this year we've started off pretty strong. And if you actually look at reasons being for that, again, markets doing well, companies are doing decently as far as the earnings that have come out so far. You got tech leading the way again, Nvidia, the Magnificent Seven or whatever they call them these days, doing well so far to start the year. Yeah, data getting better, economic data getting better, inflation starting to cool off. You're also seeing, growth in the economy still being fairly strong. The consumer doing fairly well. But a lot of people, including myself, are predicting that you would see the consumer start to crumble, but the economy's held up fairly well. Markets closed Good Friday for that holiday, so we only have looks like today is the last trading day of the market for the market. So all that is incredible, interesting news. Now let's dive into specific business and economic news that has come out over the past week. McKinsey is ramping up promotion stress. So McKinsey, of course, as you know, is a consulting firm, one of the bigger consulting firms. And like any corporate structure, it's up or out. So meaning you get promoted, you increase, you climb up the corporate ladder, or at some point you get pushed out. McKinsey is seeming to intensify their up or out pressure on some of the U.S. consultants. They're hearing that associate partners and managers in North America received the memos suggesting that time is ticking, reminding them that they have 2.5 years on average to move up. Although McKinsey increased hiring over the past several years, this development comes amid a pullback in global consulting industry. So they're saying pretty much that you have to get promoted, move up the corporate ladder, or move on or move out. And it's typical. It's typical of any like corporate job, investment banking, consulting. You see that less in tech actually. Like you could have sit-on jobs, but these are more pyramid structures when you talk about investment banking and consulting with these larger firms. Yeah, I think it's a good thing as far as you want to promote people that are doing well, and you want to make sure that the company is being stagnant and growth is just based on some weird archaic structures and not something important. So that's important to note on that regard. So let's talk about Sam Bankman-Fried. I guess his sentencing is today. Remember, I was wondering what happened as far as the conclusion of his case. Found guilty, so he's being sentenced today. So Thursday in Manhattan federal court, I could probably see him. We live in Tribeca. I could probably see him the courthouse somewhere out the window there. He faces the maximum penalty of 110 years and he's waited almost 5 months. That's why it took so long. 5 months to learn his punishment. So Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy that was convicted in the white collar crimes, some of the largest white collar crimes in history during the crypto debacle. He was head of FTX and some other subsidiaries of FTX and sister companies. So now it was an $8 billion fraud case that brought down the current cryptocurrency exchange FTX. Prosecutors are seeking a sentence up to 50 years. So the prosecutors are seeking a sentence up to 50 years, arguing he displayed a brazen disrespect to the rule of law. And I think that's true from the stuff I've heard of the case. he tried to pretend and pretend like he didn't know anything, which is obviously not true. From all the, speaking about the guy and other people speaking about him, they said he was, rather, of course, above average intelligence, but he just pretended in the general public through media that he didn't know anything of these laws, and which makes no sense to me. Um, so yeah, we're gonna find out soon what he's doing. I'm sure they're gonna go relatively light on him. Um, his side is arguing for a 6-year sentence. The government, US government wants 40, 50 years. I think they lean towards the lighter side of him just based on like how they treat white collar crime in a lot of cases. So we'll definitely see. He explained to this reporter that trial could result in 0 to 18 years and that his life would be effectively over. Um, SPF told him, this reporter, Zach Bisman, that the plea deal would make sense if it were close to 1 year, but he also wasn't going to get one. He now faces a max sentence of 110 years. So apparently they gave him a plea deal, an opportunity to plead guilty. And he said that he didn't want to take it because it would have been closer to 1 year sentence that he would have got with the plea deal. He would have taken it, but he said he didn't want to take it because it wasn't close to 1 year. Um, and now he's exposed himself to the full hammering of the law if they want to go that route. So we'll keep an eye on that. I want to know what happens. That's something I'm very curious about. How they actually, again, this is a huge fraud case. Dude, so blazing disrespect, and really for other people, all the people that trusted FTX investors, and not just the investors and that were using the exchange, but investors that invested in the company. So huge thing there. Speaking of investing, Amazon is investing more in AI. Anthropic is one of the companies that Amazon likes when it comes to competing in AI and artificial intelligence. And they invested a minority stake in a San Francisco-based company last September, up to 1.25 billion. They said these investments were going to come in tranches, so they added another tranche to that investment, and it's now going up to 4 billion into this investment. This company, I think they said the company was valued around 16 billion or so, 16 to 20 billion. But yeah, it's another move for Amazon and a lot of these companies to compete when it comes to artificial intelligence. And they're finding these companies and try to deepen these relationships and commitments to generative AI, because they believe it's going to be a big ticket item in the future. And a lot of every big tech company is going to have to sell AI in some way, shape, or form. They already have started doing it, but it's going to be a bigger part of their strategy going forward. And so you're seeing companies make those investments, make those bets, make those resources to be in use. And so that's happening now with Amazon, really ratcheting up their investment there. So keep an eye on that. Um, Unfortunate news, and we're praying for everyone that's okay, praying for everyone involved in this. The bridge collapse in Baltimore. Authorities are still searching for bodies of 6 men presumed dead. Unfortunately, RIP. There was a collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. And now much of the focus is on rebuilding and mitigating disruptions. It's a busy port and trade corridor, and it could take until May to clear the channel of debris and reopen the port of Baltimore, where about a dozen ships remain trapped. Meanwhile, local labor union said 2,400 of its members could lose their jobs during that span. So again, this has huge implications for Baltimore, for the families of the people, for the victims that were unfortunately lost their lives during this bridge collapse. I have no clue what happened with this large ship container hitting this bridge, but we do know that it's a sad situation and garnered national attention. And I know we're praying for those people where this bridge collapsed. Scary, it's scary. The videos are scary when you look at it. But I think this is important news in the sense of we're praying for these people and hoping that they're okay, especially the families of the lost. Interesting other news. Visa, MasterCard going at it. We talked about FTX already. Nearly 1 million Americans could miss out on tax refunds. Okay, so let's see why they say that. Tax season upon us. The average refund so far this year is 3.1K, almost enough to cover a month of rent in Manhattan. But as Americans get their 2023 refunds from Uncle Sam, there's still 940,000 refunds from 2020 that have gone unclaimed and are about to expire. And you always see that with people when it comes to like claiming things or super easy administrative red tape where they have to go through a couple steps to do something, right? Like people will just like not do it a lot of times, right? That's why we take a lot of initiative to do rollovers clients, to do these things, because a lot of people just don't want to do it. Like I know people are just different in that regard. So you'll see that. You'll see that a lot. Apparently, the 1.1 mega millions jackpot is the eighth largest US jackpot ever. So I did not know about that stuff. What else is in the current news? What else have people heard? Um, Elon Musk wants influencers, but doesn't seem that interested in paying them. Since it launched its ad revenue share program last summer, X has paid out 45 million to 150K posters in the creator economy. Those are penny slot numbers, a small fraction of the 700 million Mr. Beast makes on YouTube's each year, paying people to live in a coffin. That's one of his, I guess, little YouTube clips. So it's apparently saying that X's or Twitter, can't get over trying to call it X, is YouTube, its creator program is not that lucrative compared to other places. Um, and why it is that? Well, to share ad revenue, you need ad revenue, and that's been a struggle for X. So they're pretty much saying they're not making money with ads, so they can't really share that much with the creators. As a lot of people have paused advertising on X because of different things that Elon Musk is saying and different things that he's pushing. Um, X is being tough on influencer. Goldman Sachs said only about 4% of global creators pull in more than 100K per year on X. Yeah, it's par for the course. He's definitely a weird guy that you know, he has his reasons for whatever he does, but yeah, don't get it. Do not get it anymore. Um, Candy companies are hiking prices to offset spiking cocoa and sugar costs. Yeah, I'm hearing a bit about this. So, there's heat waves in West Africa where 70% of cocoa is produced, and have damaged crops and dry spells in India and Thailand. Major sugar supporters have destroyed harvests, fueling the price surges. So there are price surges of these commodities, of these goods, and it's now affecting the candy companies. Which, for us sweet tooth people out there, including myself, I've been not on the sweet tooth thing for a good month, getting my butt back in shape. So yeah, I mean, listen, I didn't know about this because I haven't been buying candy. I've been sticking strictly to water, healthy foods, clean eating, dropping weight, and getting back in great shape. So that's gonna be something that we have to keep our eye on, though. Very much interested in what happens with that story. Let's dive into the question of the week, which I think is a good one. We have a couple rapid fire questions. The first one being, how much does a music artist make for every 1 million streams on Spotify? I don't know if we've talked about this, but we do know it's super low. The payout for streaming is low. Of course, a lot of these artists make money when they go on tour, when they sell merch, when they do different things, when they sell products, but they don't make much from streaming. So 1 million streams is worth $4,370. Interesting. A lot of that will have to go to a record company. If you are on a record label, um, you don't make much from the streams. You probably pay the record label 80% of that and you keep 20%. So that's an interesting note to know on that. Spotify pays artists between 0.003, 0.005 per stream on average. That works out to approximately revenue split of 70-30. So that's 70 to 30 to the artist right holders and 30% to Spotify. So the artist right holders, again, is not just going to be the artist itself all the time. It's going to be a lot of the record label. They'll hold some of the publishing and the master rights, and the artist will have some of it as well. A lot of the deals, newer deals now, are having artists wanting to own a lot more of their catalog than previously before, right? Because a lot of light has been shed on that area. So interesting to know. I always like to know different models and different structures. Let's go on our next question. What was the most expensive sneakers on the resale market last year? So that'll be in 2023. I don't know. I'm not a sneakerhead. I'm assuming it's some with Michael Jordan because he's the biggest sneaker person. So I would say that. What would we got? Adidas Ad Zero Adidas Pro Evo for $1,170. Interesting. I would love for you guys to see the picture of this because I have no clue what these are. Never heard of them. What are they? What are those? What are those? I have no clue. Um, okay. All right. Adidas come back. I like Adidas now. They have Anthony Edwards, who I believe is the next great star of the league. He's now creeping up to my favorite player. You had Kobe, LeBron, and now it's Anthony Edwards. And great. He plays for my hometown team, Minnesota, even better. But he signed to Adidas. So his shoes look really nice. The AE1s look a lot nicer than whatever the heck that was for $1,170. Sneakerheads, you can fill me in. I have no clue what you guys are doing, but maybe I'll tap in with the Anthony Edwards shoe. That's it for this week, folks. We would do this every week. Make sure you tap in. Also, let people know, share, like, subscribe. We will do this again next